Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me. In this video, I'll be sketching the Ellis Motel. I thought it was Florida, but it's not Florida-based. I usually do Florida-based things, but this is in Texas. So I loved it so much, I said, let's just give it a try. And so if you want to sketch with me, grab some paper, pens, and some watercolor paints. So I started off sketching with the Micron 01, and I'm using a hot pressed piece of about 4 by 5.5 size piece of paper. And I really like the way the hot press paper looks when it's done. It's just so smooth and crisp. So it's my paper of choice right now, but I'm always changing. And I'm starting off with the peak of the roof because that way I could just gauge everything from that and follow down. I'm going to put in the sign now, and I'm going to start off with her feet. And I could tell already I'm not angling it enough, unfortunately. But that's okay. I'm just going to push on. I'm always fascinated by neon signs, but painting them is a real challenge. I don't think mine necessarily looks like a neon sign when I'm done, but I actually did a couple of test runs and tried it different ways, and I didn't like really any of them. And then I just wanted to keep it simple, and it doesn't maybe doesn't necessarily look like a neon sign when I'm done, but I like the way it turned out. And I made that window a little too rectangle. It's a little more square, and the other one's a rectangle. I'm trying to figure out, do I want to go bigger, fix that? I said, just leave it. I love how those lights are like really close up and large, and then they fade into the building and get smaller, and then there's even some little lights along the rooftop as well. It's simple, but it's got a lot of really neat features, I thought. And when I found out it was in Texas, I was like, oh, too bad. I'm going to sketch it anyways. Trying to keep Florida based, but not all of them are. So there's some little beams. I just add little squares and then or rectangles, and then the edge of the beam, and then like the planks are going back. So you're getting that perspective. And then there's 4 lights. Looks like little rattan lights underneath the awning. And then I'm following the building from the top of the building down, so I have the same edge of the building. And then there's just a little entryway there. And mine's not lined up perfectly with the lights, but I'm just doing it loosely. Trying not to be so detailed. I love when I come across a painting that's something that's a subject that's done at night and the lights are glowing. So I kind of picked this also for that. But that's not an easy thing to achieve, getting that glow. I tried to make the sky as dark as I could and the building as dark as I could, but that's a real talent when people can get those lights glowing in the dusk or at night. Just putting on some shingles. And I'm not putting all of the detail in those lights because I started to do it and then I realized I want to kind of paint those first, and then I'll put the ink lines onto those when I'm done. So here's the one string light, and here's the other one. And there's actually two wires there, but I'm just going to do the one for now. And you want to make sure you get those really big, because they're in the front, they're in the forefront, and they look like they're coming at you. And then they get a little closer and a little smaller. And there's quite a few of them as you go down. I'm not counting, I'm just winging it and going a little smaller and a little closer as I go down. And same with this one. This one's even bigger. There's a little bit of string light along that rooftop, and that wire just kind of loosely comes down. And again, not counting the lights, just putting them here and there. And a couple down underneath the overhang. Now we're going to get ready to start painting. So I'm going to keep this real simple, just a few colors. I'm going to start off mixing my sky, and I've got some ultramarine blue. I want to make it as dark as I can. Mixing a little cerulean blue into that, just a little. And I'm going to just wet the whole top. I'm going over the light bulbs. Doesn't matter because the light bulbs are clear. You're going to see through them. And the light bulb housing, we're just going to go over that with a black pen. It's interesting working on hot press paper because it just has such a different feel than cold press. It almost feels like it's not taking it, or you're working on the wrong side of the paper. But and then it dries beautifully though. I'm working on a little bit of an angle too, so my watercolor's just running down a little bit. And I've cleaned off my brush, and I just want to clean those light bulbs up so they're not too dark. I want those to pop a little bit out. I'm just wiping. I have a paper towel, and I'm just kind of wiping it onto the paper towel. And this way it has a little hint of blue behind it, but not too much. I really want those to stand out. A little more, a little darker, it's drying a little bit lighter. With the ultramarine. And I'm going to try and mix up a darker shade of kind of a purpley. I mixed a little bit of that blue in there, and I'm going to make that building a little darker so it looks like it's all shadowed from the night. I'm using my Dugato mop brush. It's size 0. I love this brush, especially for these small little sketches, because it's small enough, it's got a nice point, holds water beautifully. And I'm not being too careful. I'm going to get a little bit of that paint off of her. So I'm going to go over her with yellow, and I want it to be nice and bright. And this is a doorway, so I'm going to make that really nice and dark. I'm just trying to decide what I want to do. So I want that even darker because that's underneath. I don't mean even darker. It's a little bit lighter than the doorway, but I still want that a little bit darker than the roof line. I'm going to do a few little splatters of that same color. And I'm just looking to see what I want to do. And I think I'm going to do a few more splatters with the blue. And I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll come back in with the pen. So I've grabbed my really large 08, as I want some bold lines for that wire and some good coverage for the light bulb housing. And then I'll use the same pen to just darken up that frame of those windows. And then do some jagged line for the shingles. And then I'll just darken some of the beams so those stand out a little bit. I just add a little shadow underneath for that sign. Now the lettering on the sign is neon, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to finish up these windows, and I'm just going to use the micron for the lettering. I'm going to mix a little bit of the cad yellow and the lemon yellow. And put that on those lights underneath, the little glow in the light bulbs. This little travel palette is really nice. I really like working out of it. It came with 12 pans of colors, and then I added empty pans in the center, 6 empty ones, and added 6 more colors to the, so some of them are pans and some I just squeezed some of my tube colors into there, so I have 18 colors to choose from, which is nice. So I put the reference photo back up there. So you can see there's a double wire. So I'm using my very fine tip 005, and I'm just going to run that along that wire. And then there's like little, what do you call those, zip ties. So I added some little zip ties to each one. Outlining those little lights at the bottom. And just giving a little bit more outline on that string light on the roof line. Little detail in the light bulb. And so now I'll add it's kind of like a little rattan feature on those lights. So I'm just going to add some like little lines, and there's one line going across that I put in earlier. And I forgot to put the windows in, so I'm using a Payne's Gray to darken up those windows. And I thought I would just brighten up those lights a little bit more because I painted over them and they're not standing out. So I'm using my Uni Posca white fine tip, and I'm just adding just a little something. I want those lights to pop. And then her little outline of her suit and her cap, swim cap, is white. Some finishing details. Just outline some of the building again. The little boulder line. In one of the samples I did to do a tryout of the neon sign, I did darken her body to try and make it just look like outline yellow, but I didn't like that at all. I just kept her all bright yellow. So here is my finished sketch. I love how loose it is. I love the sign, the lights. This was a real fun one to do. Some dark splatters for a change, and just a few colors. Keeping it simple and fun. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you sketched along, boy, I wish I could see everybody's, different take of what they do. It would be so much fun, and to see how you would do a neon sign, because that's a challenge. So if you are a subscriber, I want to thank you so much for following me along my journey. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber, please do so you don't miss out on any fun sketches that I have coming up. I really enjoyed doing this, and I really hope you do as well. Thank you for your time, and bye for now.